Well, it's time to review the greatest Resident Evil ever freaking made. Kitty, don't you look at me like that. That's my evil voice, alright? Evil. Okay, so, alright. Resident Evil is fucking amazing. Resident Evil 2 was even better. And so, and you had Resident Evil 3 a little bit down. Code Veronica a little bit down from that. Let's remake it. Why do we need to remake it? Because we had a vision. Shinji Mikami, is that his name? He had a fucking vision. And we have to remake the game even though we just made it. And so it was absolutely unnecessary, but now in hindsight it's probably considered the greatest remake ever. And so it's up on the pedestal of like whenever you're going to remake or redo something in a video game world. Resident Evil Remake is the one that's going to be talked about, because not only does it completely outdo and outclass the original, it adds more to it without being a completely different. And some games like Final Fantasy VII Remake and stuff like that have been unable to really do, or they're not held up on this pedestal, or there's a lot of conflict because a lot of people just want the exact same game with the pretty graphics, and then other people will just want something new, and it's like an automatic conflict when you go in. And so when you get something like Resident Evil Remake, you're able to please everybody, and that's going to be really, really rare. About the only thing that the original Resident Evil has on the remake is that crazy camp jank campiness. There's elements of that still in remake, and there's callbacks to it too. There's little subtle nods, but it's just, that's the only thing. And so you kind of play the original Resident Evil for the camp factor. It's still a great game, but remake just replaces it. Honestly, that's the way I would say it. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of awesome and shitty at the same time to say that this game just, you don't even need to play the original. But we go back to the freaking, was it Arkland Mansion or whatever in the woods near Raccoon City. You got Jill and Chris and Wesker and Barry, all of them around. Their outfits are updated, but they still have a little bit of weirdness to them, especially Jill still wearing them crazy shoulder pads. But the gameplay itself, it's a good game to play if you haven't played the original one. But if you've played the original one, they'll do little nods or little tricks. Like the classic thing I can think of is where the dog jumps through the glass at you. That's a famous jump scare moment, probably the most famous in video games. And then when it happens at the same point, you're coming through, you've already beat the original Resident Evil, you know that dog's fucking coming when you come through there, and he doesn't come through, and you're like, what the fuck? They managed to sneak him jumping through to jump scare your ass again. It happens later on down the line when you're not thinking of. You're thinking more of like, you got to do a key or some shit. I forgot exactly how it is, but your mind's on something else as you're coming through the room, and then the dog jumps through it, gets your ass. It's like, no, how did you fucking do that? How did you know that I wasn't paying attention right there? I mean, it's like, they knew they got me again with the same freaking jump scare. I'm like, oh, you assholes. I love it. It's just so freaking uncanny. The design, still the 2D, it's still a 2D tank game, but the way that they drew that area in, and the way it just looks so fucking incredible. It looked amazing on GameCube and back in the day. Right now, I've got this running on, it's just the PC port, or the enhanced port that came out for Xbox. I think it was on 360, might have been an enhanced port. PS3, Xbox, PC. It shows you how damn good this game looked, because when it came out, I forgot exactly what year it is, it was no comparison. It was better looking than anything out there. It was like the new standard in graphics and games, at least in standard definitions. On PC you could run, a little bit higher frame rate, and you could go to 800 by 600 or some shit, but, that was kind of it. And so it's just the atmosphere that it brings, they darkened down everything. They added that side area, so you go outside and it's like really creepy. It's a pretty much, it's not got ghosts in it, but honestly it's a giant haunted house, and it's a classic haunted house story. People get separated stupidly, and then you have to find each other. And Chris, what are you doing in prison? I don't know, man. That's how I get here. But you go through the mansion. It's a big, huge maze. There's like, you need keys and puzzles and stuff. And honestly, doing this play right here for this review, I played through about an hour, and I did not remember any fucking thing because I haven't done it in like 10 or 15 years. And so I forgot that you had to get the little arrowhead to start to really get the game. I ended up collecting a bunch of treasures and getting lost again. It's like, wow, I'll come back later on, and I'd forgotten all this stuff. A lot of people are going to bitch about the tank controls. I believe, now I've never done it, but in the enhanced ports, they have some sort of like gimmicky thing. I suspect the only way you could do it is, say you're running left on the screen, okay? And it changes to the next screen where it actually has you running up. If you're holding down left, you're still going up. That's the only way I can think that works. I've never played those controls. I still just use the tank controls. Or I use the, my preferred control is, I want to say it's called Type C back in the day on GameCube. The GameCube Resident Evil tank games had it where you can actually walk forward by holding down the trigger. So it's like the way you want to think about it is like, it's like a remote control car. So if the car is actually, you're driving a remote control car and it's facing you, it's coming towards you. When you hold down left, it's actually going to go to your right. It's how that works. But and they did it like that so that they can have, each little screen you go through could come out at a different camera angle or whatever. Dude, it's fucking awesome. A lot of people hate it. I would say get the fuck used to it. Is what I would say. Get over yourself. Bring that tank controls in, bitch and moan for 20 or 30 minutes, but you'll get it, and then you can go off and enjoy the game. A lot of people, if they don't grip them in 20 minutes, they just give the fuck up. This game will grip you. You gotta work with it a little bit. And of course, a lot of people say, well, modern games you shouldn't have to work with. No. Something like Dark Souls is a masterpiece, and you have to figure out how it plays, how it wants you to play. And Resident Evil, I would say the same way. Resident Evil is tough, man. And the first time you're playing Resident Evil, you don't know that each little bullet is like just this thing that you need to guard, and it's important. You'll end up blowing all your bullets on, and then the freaking Red Doom zombies will come back because when you didn't blow their head off, you didn't really kill them. They turn into red zombies on this game. And there's a couple of strategies you could do once you know that, and they ruin your game because you shot up all your bullets, or they clawed your face off and you used all your herbs, and you have to essentially start over with a new attitude. It's like, yo, I don't know if I should kill this zombie or should I just try to get around him. And each little zombie and each little screen becomes important, especially early on when you need to knock their head off with a shotgun, or if you kill them, you're going to have to hold your lighter and then get some gas and then set their ass on fire to burn their corpse up. And that's a little, just a subtle change from the PlayStation games that enhances it in a lot of ways, because it's like an entirely different thing you got to think of. And it's subtle changes like that. Maybe the keys or the puzzles are slightly different. The dog coming through the window, or I think there's a dog with a key early in the game around his neck, and he jumps through like glass or some shit. That was something that was new. I cannot remember that crazy fucking. There's like a crazy invincible monster that's been added, and she's like all deformed and shit. And she's the daughter of the guy who built the mansion. I can't remember her name, but that's like a new monster that they've added in. And just these little changes to so that fans who have played through the original Resident Evil get surprised once again, and adds to the lore, brings everything together with a perfect atmosphere. Jill and Chris are just awesome characters, even though they're kind of like player inserts in their own way. They don't have much personality here, but it's just so good. And just looking at it, just look at this fucking game. It's so crisp and amazing. And the ports are handled well. I've only played the PC port of the remake, but seems really good. So if it works good on Xbox One and PS4, I hope it does. You never can quite tell what Capcom's doing with their intern Leroy in the basement when he's cranking these ports out for 14 million times. Probably, hell, I bet you it's on phones. I don't freaking know. Definitely give this game a run. A lot of times it's on Game Pass. It might be on PS Now. It ain't very expensive. It's one of those required gaming things to play. Even if you don't go through and beat it, you should definitely play for an hour or two just to see what you'll get a good grip of what Resident Evil is. Now, I don't know much more to say. You want to go to the Paws, Kitty? Well, of course we're giving the Paws up. All the Paws, the zombie Paws are up. Kitty likes zombies, and Brian likes killing shit. I'm just kind of getting generic on what you guys like these days. Is that all right, Kitty? She's not even paying attention. She's fucking asleep. But Resident Evil Remake is pretty damn good. So give it a run, man. Don't be a Jill sandwich.